welcome to Discover You podcast. This is a community where you can show up exactly as you are, learn, grow, and discover how to stand in the power of who you want to be. I'm your host, Shar. Welcome, and let's dive in and discover you. Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Discover You podcast, episode 5. Oh my gosh. I feel like we're going to hit like episode 100 and be like, it's episode 100. Oh my God. And we're only on 5 right now, but it already feels so magical to be doing this and finally getting content out to you guys and finally sharing in this space. So I am really loving all of the podcast. I hope you're also loving the podcast. And if you're not already following along on your preferred listening area, where there's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the actual podcast website, or even over on YouTube on my channel, the podcast is uploaded there. So please be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this, and leave me a comment down below rating the podcast. Even just rate it with the star rating or send me a comment and I will put that on to all of those platforms to share. I would just love to hear what you guys are thinking, what you're feeling. And if you're just loving it, any topics or anything that you want to hear about, I think is just so crucial, so integral. And of course, follow me over on social media because you get all of the day-to-day updates in life of Shar. So send your love that way if you can, of course. All right, so diving into today's episode. So this is a big topic about our health. So I wanted to start this episode talking about inflammation in the body. So what exactly is inflammation? What causes inflammation? And how we can help to support and heal any inflammation that may be going on or to reduce the severity of the inflammation. So I do want to put a disclaimer here that I am not a doctor, I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I don't have any of those qualifications. I am purely speaking from my own personal research and things that I have uncovered with my own health and wellness and things that I want to share and support you guys with. So if you're struggling severely with something, be sure to get your proper testing done through your doctor, see a naturopath, dietitian, etc., wherever you want to find that support. So with all of that said, let's dive into today's episode of the podcast. So what is inflammation? Essentially, inflammation is what happens to our bodies when we are under certain things like a high stress load. Certain foods cause inflammation, poor diet, a lack of movement or exercise or lymphatic movement in the body. And if we're just not resting, not taking care of ourselves, a lot of different things cause an inflammation in our body. So this can be like symptomatic of like having sore, achy joints, having lots of headaches, having bloating in the belly, having hormone disruption or dysfunction. It can be a number of things, lots of different things essentially. So there's a lot of different symptoms. So again, see a professional if you're looking for, ways that you can kind of work with someone specifically on this topic. But essentially, inflammation is when your body feels under attack. So if you eat a lot of really unhealthy foods or things that are not supportive to your body, it can cause your immune system and your actual white blood cells to get inflamed and to get angry because they're trying to fight off invaders. Kind of like how it happens when you get like a virus or a cold or anything like that. Your body just has a defense against it and it starts to cause inflammation into the body. And this can be specific to, just one person, or it can be specific to many people. So again, there's never like a one size fits all. I really try to preface that in health is that like your body is so unique to you. So what might bother my body might not bother your body or vice versa, right? So again, it's just kind of that tuning in and awareness of like, okay, what's causing this and how do I feel? And we kind of had talked about this in, I believe it was episode 2 with healthy eating, talking about what works for your body and what doesn't, and noticing that inflammation or that response in the body if you're feeling kind of like holy moly, right? So that awareness into that. So that's kind of like what inflammation is scientifically, it's your body defending invaders and like going on high alert, and can cause like fluid retention, swelling into the joints, and different areas. So, and then these types of things, this oxidative stress in the body, can then therefore lead to other things if it's on a prolonged term. So if you're having a ton of inflammation that you're not managing, these things lead to, the big other issues like heart disease, cancer, or whatever. I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying there's potential that things evolve into that because we're ignoring our body's cues of like, okay, this isn't working, this isn't serving me. So how can I, manage through this and work through this and try to bring this down before it can cause a problem. And like I said before, we like in other podcasts, we can actually live in this inflammation and not really be aware of what's happening. So there's often cues, but sometimes it takes a little bit more deep diving into kind of understanding what's going on with you and tuning into that. What causes inflammation is the next question. So I had mentioned a couple of things before. So stress is a really, really big one. We are really overstimulated. We are really oversaturated with content. We are addicted to our phones, the media, all of these things that are not how our nervous system is designed to live. So there's a constant amount of oxidative stress that is in our lives, and we have to really take an action and take a part in stepping away from that and trying to bring that back down. So stress is probably one of the biggest ones that can cause inflammation into your body, especially in the endocrine system and our hormones. For men and women, stress is really impactful on our fertility, our hormone cycles, our hormone fluctuations, our hormone levels, which leads into a lot of thyroid dysfunction, or you can have thyroid dysfunction prior to having any type of, fluctuating periods or changes in your cycle, that kind of stuff. So it's really everything's connected, right? We're all connected into what's happening. So you have a trigger, you have a response in your body. It impacts more than just one thing. It's not just that one specific area. And you can think of it as like when you have, say you're nervous to get on an airplane, say you don't like flying is a good example. So you're anxious, so your like heart's racing, your chest feels tight. You might have an upset stomach and feel like you have to run to the bathroom. You might feel nauseous. Like there's all of these different things that are happening, and that's because your one, emotion around the nervousness of flying causes your body to have all of these responses. So then it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And your body's just literally trying to like purge energy all over the place to try and alleviate the nervous system. It's a coping mechanism to allow your nervous system to come back down and to level out. So our body is designed to support us and take care of us and heal us and get us through the sticky, ucky situation, which is amazing. But it's also can be damaging over time if we're continuously living in this cycle of that stress day in and day out, or that food that's causing this in the body day in and day out. So it's all encompassing, really. It's whether it's the stress or the food. Those can be some big triggers for inflammation. If you're any type of like gluten intolerant or dairy intolerant, if you eat those foods, it causes inflammation in the body. Your body has a response to it, whether that means you need to go to the bathroom or you get sick or whatever. There's a response, right? So that is a cause to be giving you an inflammation in the body, wherever it might be, whether it's your gut, your joints, whatever. And then furthermore, things are like high salt intake is inflaming to the body because it pulls all of the water out and causes bloating, causes sore and achy joints, causes inflammation. So if you consume a high salt diet, you might not feel your greatest. Yes, you're functioning. Yes, you're healthy. Yes, your body is still working and moving and being efficient, of course. But over the long term, it's really, really hard on your body because you're just giving it this crazy high intake. And high salt can lead to things like high blood pressure, heart issues, like that kind of stuff, high cholesterol. Like those are impactful in those areas, right? So, again, something to look at there. Another cause could be high sugar. Sugar is extremely inflaming to the body. And I'm not saying don't eat sugar. I'm not saying don't enjoy, because, again, we're not here to just discriminate foods. We're here to think about how foods are responding and nourishing and helping our body, or are they nourishing and helping our body? So sugar is a big one. I definitely see a shift in my mental health when I eat a lot of sugar. I see a difference in my skin. So like skin is another way to see the inflammation. If you're having breakouts from something, whether it's dairy or sugar or gluten, whatever, you can have that. Like, you can see physical signs of inflammation, which would be acne. And then it can also be, again, those joints. Some people get really, really sore, achy joints. They feel bloated. They feel inflamed. Like, when you start to kind of pay attention to how these things are impacting your body, you're like, oh, it is causing, some form of that. So those are the main ones I would say. Is definitely stress, oxidative stress, your food, salt levels, sugar levels. Those are big, big factors in what's causing the inflammation in the body. So that's our causes. So now moving into how do we help support our body? And like I said before, see a practitioner, see an expert. If you're having extreme inflammation where it's really bad, your body's not functioning well, you're not feeling well, it's really important to work with different avenues. So like, I'm always one to like refer out to a practitioner. I see practitioners for my physical body, my energetic body, because I need support. I have a lot of structural physical issues. So that's like my niche, is to like always refer out to manage pain and manage physical issues. But there's always a place for multiple practitioners to educate you and to also just learn more about your body and to start to take actions forward if you don't feel your greatest. And some more of my gentle tips on just trying to better support the body, reduce inflammation, is the first one. Well, of course, like we said, the awareness key of tuning in. What's going on? How are you feeling after you eat that cheeseburger meal from McDonald's? Or how are you feeling after a night of eating potato chips? Having that internal awareness, and this takes time. It's a thing that you have to harness over time, and you have to work at over time to be like, okay, like, I'm gonna see how I actually feel. Like, do I eat that and get in a shitty headspace and feel crappy about myself? Or do you feel gassy or bloaty or indigestion when you eat something? Like, just kind of those simple cues that your body's like, hey, something's up here. And then some other things can be increasing our water intake. So I'm never one, if you follow me for long enough now, or maybe you're new to the podcast, I am not the girl that's going to tell you need to drink 8 cups of water a day as I profusely roll my eyes, because I hate stipulations and standards around nutrition and healthy eating. I think it is such bogus. And we're just going to talk about it right now, because the elephant in the room is like, I need to drink 8 cups of water and eat my greens and blah, blah, blah. Like, nah, it's crap. Like, it's just, it's this pressure. Like, life is already hard enough, and then you add this pressure of like, I need to do this to like be healthy. It's not how it is. One size does not fit all. We are so unique. Our biochemistry, our body, everything is just specific to you, and you have to be the one to figure out what that is and what is best for you. So aside from that little tangent of my passionate ways of like, you need to feel good in you, not what someone says you need to do. So water intake is so important. And you can shoot for 8 cups a day if it feels good to drink 8 cups a day. There's not really a specific remedy. Yes, we need to continuously drink water throughout the day. Yes, it's important, I think personally, to get up in the morning, chug a whole glass of water, start your metabolism, get your body moving, get everything kind of flowing. I think it's really important in the morning, absolutely. And I think it's important to drink water throughout the day, sip on water, try and get in the range of like 6 to 12 cups, sure. But maybe you feel really shitty if you drink way more water. Maybe you feel better if you drink more water. So try it out, play with it, see what feels good. But if you feel like you're reaching for water, then that's all that matters, getting water in. And you really want to kind of avoid like your pee being like bright, like or not bright yellow, dark yellow. Like bright yellow is okay. You don't want to be like dark yellow. And like you can usually smell dehydration. Like as gross as that sounds, you can usually smell when you're dehydrated. So just things to keep in mind when you're drinking water. So another big one I would say is getting the salt intake down. So being really, really mindful of the salt levels that are in the food that you're buying. So there's natural occurring salt in everything. And we get a natural amount of natural sodium through a lot of different foods. Like lots of fruits and vegetables have sodium in them. The key is to be aware of the extra salt you're adding to things, or the packaged food that you're eating would have high salt, and also processed food and fast food, takeout food has high salt, even restaurant food, high salt. So salt is not the devil. Salt is not terrible for you, but if you're not exerting the salt out, sweating the salt out, it's not leaving your body. It does in a sense because your body will break it down and process it through your liver and all of that stuff. But the higher salt you have, if you're surpassing your sodium intake levels for the day, there's no other way for the salt to escape. So it does in turn create long-term issues, or can create long-term issues, I should say. Not necessarily are you going to have issues, but our bodies are designed to help us. But if we keep wearing them out with these things, your body is slowly going to start to buckle under the pressure, for want of a word. So I'm not saying don't eat salt. I'm not saying you can't eat salt. I'm not saying you can't have days where you cheat and eat a ton of salt. I don't like that word cheat, but you know what I mean. But being aware, I'll give you a little bit of a side story. When I was about 20, I want to say 23, I would say that I was drinking a lot. I was eating a lot of takeout, a lot of restaurant food. I was waitressing at the time. I was living in my first apartment. I was drinking a lot of wine. I've always eaten pretty well, but I was never I wasn't putting my health at the forefront of my life. I was just numbing my life with alcohol. And so for me, I ended up having a period in my life where I had gone to the doctor and I had high blood pressure. And I don't actually think it was that high. It was just showing high because I tend to get a little bit white coat syndrome at the doctor, if you know what I mean. But it was on the higher side, which is a common symptom of salt, or too much salt in excess. So I was having high blood pressure. I ended up having to take blood pressure pills for like 2 months just to bring it down because it was high. And it made me kind of look at my salt intake and realize, okay, well, I'm buying these microwave rice, chicken and broccoli rice microwave thing or whatever, or like on the stove, the packeted flavored rices. And the sodium is astronomical. It's like more than your daily intake for like one pack of that, which is crazy because you're like, oh, I'm eating rice, it's healthy, right? But actually it's not that great for you in regards to the salt intake. So you start to if you pay attention to labels or want to start paying attention to labels, just kind of seeing how much salt is in this packet. And if you have any, past eating disorders or disordered eating, then please be mindful of that. This can be triggering if you are in recovery for any type of ED. So I will just say that here. But anyway, so that was kind of my journey with salt, was like, oh my gosh, like my salt intake is through the roof, and I didn't even clue into it, because you hear lots about don't eat too much trans fat and don't eat too many calories, and sugar's not good for you, but then no one really talks about salt. So I think that it's something that is very, very inflaming to the body. And now for me, now that I've really transitioned over to a lot more green and clean eating, less packaged food and stuff like that, I see a difference when I do put the salt in my body. I think I mentioned that in episode 2, that I eat popcorn or chips before bed and I wake up puffy. I can see it under my eyes. It's holy moly, your body retains that, right? So yeah, so salt's a big one. So thinking about your intake on that. And then the next one would be sugar. So this is a big one. You guys know my chocolate loving ways. I love chocolate so much. Again, sugar is another one that is it's very inflaming. It can be. Some people are fine. Like I said before, some people have no issues with this kind of stuff. But the more you put it in your body, the more your body gets accustomed to it as well. So you start to not notice these things because it becomes the norm of how you're existing in your body. When you cut something out, then you start to kind of see, okay, wow, like there's just a big difference in this. I'm not saying don't eat sugar. Natural sugars are good. Fruit are good. There is a high sugar in natural fructose, so just be mindful of the natural sugar intake. But it's the processed man-made sugars, the white sugar, that is, not great. I'm not going to demonize sugar because we all love candy. Who doesn't love candy and chocolate? Like if you're, what the heck? Oh, love it so much. But it can be very, very hard. So there's a lot of talk about how sugar turns to cancer, blah, blah, blah. I haven't done the scientific research to look into that because I'm not going to stress out about eating some chocolate and worrying about those things. But it comes down to just like the whole big picture, right? So we don't want to demonize one thing and be like, okay, we're not going to eat this because it could give me cancer. Anything can give you cancer nowadays, or illness or disease. It's just more about like, okay, is the intake really, really high? Is this serving my body? So again, coming back to that mindfulness of like, how do I feel when I consume this thing? I know for me, I love chocolate, dark chocolate. But when I consume like the candied sugar, like the gummies, or like milk chocolate, white chocolate, if I eat it too fast and too much, I am nauseous, like to my gut. It hurts so bad. And that's just always been my way. I'm more of a salty lover versus a sweet lover, but I love chocolate. But even if I eat, like I can't sit and eat a whole chocolate bar. Thank God, what a blessing. But because if I could, I would eat chocolate bars every day. But I know that my body doesn't like it that much. My emotions, my hormones like it, but my actual chemical makeup of my gut and my serotonin levels and all of that, it's not serving. It's not good. And I know that from just doing so much work in this space of really listening and attuning to myself. And you might be starting on day one. This might be like, whoa, this is way too much for me right now. But it also might be something that kind of opens your eyes to just be conscious of your habits and what you're doing, because it doesn't mean that you need to stop eating sugar or you shouldn't eat sugar every day. I'm not saying that. It is your life, your choice, your body. You do what is best for you. But all I want to ever share with you guys is that there's just like an awareness around that of like, what is it doing? How is it serving, right? So something to think about with sugar, because it's a big one. It's a big flag in our society, especially in North America. It's like, it's everything to people. It's an addiction, right? Sugar is addicting, just like a lot of other things are. So another few things would be exercise is a huge one. So burning out stress through exercise, salt intake, just moving your body, sweating, getting that burnout of stuff is really, really good. So really wonderful for reducing inflammation in the body, for overall wellness and healing. Again, I'm not going to say you need to work out every single day. Scientifically, they say you should move your body for 30 minutes a day. So if that means going for a walk around the block, do a little stretch, make a little love, like, I don't know, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter to me. It's just good to find movement. So I never like to be like, okay, you need to go to the gym for an hour every day, because like that's just stupid and unattainable. So we all know that. So finding that exercise or movement that really feels good to you and supports you, gets you fired up, because it is good to get your heart rate up. It's good for heart health, cardiovascular health. It is just important to move your body. So you guys know the benefits of that. I won't get into that too much. And then the next thing would be lymphatic drainage techniques. So I will be posting a lymphatic drainage for your face on my social media over the next few months. So that will be coming onto Instagram and YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Gouaching is what it's called for your face. So I use it to remove the excess salt and inflammation in my skin. Wonderful for, blood flow, breakouts, that kind of stuff, movement of salt. So there's that. And then there's also a wonderful person I will link below. She has an amazing YouTube channel on lymphatic drainage for your body. So the body can hold so much backup and so much inflammation into our lymphatic system. So our lymph nodes run all over the place, but the main ones are like your neck, down the sides of your neck, back of your neck, your collarbones, your armpits, your groin. So there's a wonderful either brushing with a brush or even with your hands, you can massage the lymphatic technique and move inflammation. So really good if you're wanting to support the lymph system, healthy drainage. So this is really a good way to go if you have a high salt diet, if you're very highly stressed, if you have anything going on in the body. It's such a beautiful way to just move lymphatic buildup, which is inflammation essentially, because your lymph nodes will store and hold because the white blood cells are inflamed. So then they're pushing all of that fluid into your body. So the girl that I follow on YouTube is amazing. So I will link her below, so you guys can check out her videos, because I couldn't even begin to explain lymphatic drainage in full because it's not my niche, but she is like a pro with this. It's what she does for her job. So I will link her below. So you can check that out if you're wanting to just kind of manually support all of these things. And then talking about stress. So we talked a little bit about this before, how to manage your stress. So all of the things I just mentioned would be good stress managers. Moving your body, drinking lots of water, eating well. Also getting lots of rest. Rest is really important for our body, for it to restabilize, to rebalance out, to reduce inflammation. And de-stressing can be a number of other things like, reading a good book, having a bubble bath, meditating, spending time in nature, getting outside, laughing at comedy or with your partner or your friends, having a girls' night or guys' night or whatever night, just living and breathing in your life. So stress is a big, big one. I have lots of helpful tips for that on YouTube and Instagram. So if you guys are looking for more of that or more information on essential oils that I sell as well, you can also message me and reach out for ways that you can manage and bring down the stress. Because we want to be de-stressing our body to help it heal, to remove that inflammation. And that's kind of the thing, is like, we want to find all of these ways to support our body and to help it heal. Our body is designed to take on so much stuff and to be able to flush it through and heal your body and kind of get your body back to reset. The problem is, though, is that our body's doing that, but we keep adding the crap back in and we keep compounding all of the stuff. And it's on an overload or over excess, because a lot of times our diets aren't overly great, and our diet is really the root of like feeling good in our body physically. So I'm really passionate about sharing that and allowing you guys useful tips to just help your body get back to ground zero, because we're always going to have stress. We're always going to have stuff. We're always going to eat some, of those delicious foods that are not so supportive. But your body will have an easier time managing all of that stuff when you give it a better chance and a better fighting chance with a whole lifestyle of mindfulness and awareness around what you're giving it, what you're feeding it, how you're supporting it. So I hope that these tips on reducing inflammation and understanding inflammation in the body are helpful to you guys. And I would love to hear any of your thoughts or questions, or if I had maybe talked about something that was not totally scientifically correct. Of course, I'm always open to any constructive feedback, because I am always learning in this process, and I am always growing as well as a human and as a healer and a teacher. So I hope that this was helpful. I'd love to hear from you guys. Be sure to follow along the podcast wherever you're listening. Give it a star rating review on Apple and Spotify. Head over to YouTube, subscribe there. And of course, follow me over on social media, you guys, because I want to connect with you. I want to hear from you. We are a community. So let's talk, let's connect. And I will see you guys in next week's podcast episode on the Discover You podcast. Thanks so much, you guys. Take care.